At a gathering of friends. We played a game where we only listen and don't judge. My fiancé's childhood sweetheart provoked me. Last week, when brother Leo told you he was on a business trip, he actually came to spend our anniversary with me. The gift he gave you was also picked by me. Do you like it? Before I could say anything, my fiancé warned me with an unhappy look on his face. We agreed not to judge. If you can't play, don't play. I obediently nodded and said casually. The reason I agreed to get engaged to you is to get to know your big brother. After saying that, I glanced at the man playing with a wine glass in the corner. Every time he calls me sister-in-law, my heart hurts so much. After I finished speaking, the entire private room fell silent. Cindy, who was originally noisy, also quieted down, covering her mouth with an exaggerated expression. My fiancé's hand was still held in the arms of his first love, but his face was extremely ugly. Shall we continue? Who is it? Leo kicked the table in front of him away, and asked me with a frown. Didn't you say we only listen and don't judge? If you can't play, don't play. You know. I stuck out my tongue playfully, imitating Cindy's manner, and threw back the words Leo had warned me with. Sister Stella, the rule of the game is to tell the truth. You can't just say anything. Oh? Then how do you know what I said isn't the truth? But if you do this, aren't you playing with brother Leo's feelings? I couldn't help laughing. Then I leisurely took out my phone and started reading. On October 8th with the Han family's brother. On the morning of the 9th with the Lin family's second son. In the afternoon with the Wang family's younger brother. And on the 10th, watching fireworks with Leo to celebrate the anniversary. And it's the sister of Cindy's family. What a lively and eventful love life. Of course, I didn't have the time to investigate her private life. It's just that this girl is really stingy. Ever since she knew my family runs a chain of hotels. At first, she just asked for a discount, and later she even directly put the bills on my account, originally, having fulfilled my obsession. I thought it was just a little money and didn't want to bother arguing about it. But now that she's stepped on my toes, I'm not the kind of person who will swallow my pride. Oh, by the way, don't call me sister anymore. I'm younger than you. If you want to be someone's junior. I gave Leo a meaningful look. I'm not interested in being the senior either. With her rich love life laid bare like this. Cindy sat aside with a livid face. Why are you being so aggressive? Cindy is just concerned about me. Whether she's concerned about you or not has nothing to do with me. After this farce, I lost all interest in having fun. I picked up my bag and was about to leave first. But Leo grabbed me. Let go. I'll take you back. Sometimes I really don't understand Leo. You could say he's a gentleman. But he has an affair with others while having a fiancée. You could say he's a scumbag. But even when he's been cuckolded, he calmly offers to take me home. I wasn't in the mood to play the role of a harmonious fiancé couple with him today. You'd better not. I'm going to make a call later. Believe me, having fulfilled my obsession, you definitely don't want to know what we'll talk about. The already tense atmosphere in the private room became even more rigid. My words completely broke Leo. He kicked the sofa hard and then raised his hand to knock over all the bottles and jars on the table. The waiter who heard the noise wanted to stop him, but didn't dare to come in. I sighed and rubbed my temples with a headache. Can you calm down? You look really ugly when you're hysterical like this. You guys. Leo suddenly turned his gaze to the people sitting or standing in the private room. You all immediately delete Stella's contact information. Without my permission. Don't have any contact with her in the future. I glanced at the man in the corner and simply crossed my arms to watch the show. The Leo family is a big family in the capital city. Most of the people present has some kind of cooperation with the Leo family. More or less. So as soon as Leo said this, many people took out their phones and blocked me. Only one person sat with his legs crossed and didn't move. Blake, having fulfilled my obsession. You. Before Leo could finish speaking, Cindy tugged at his eye. And he suddenly came to his senses. He could say whatever he wanted to the others in the private room today. But the Blake family was not something he could give orders to. Blake took out his phone from his pocket and handed it to Leo. Or would Leo like to delete it himself? The private room was so quiet that a pin drop could be heard. Leo's hand trembled. But in the end, he didn't dare to take the phone. Ahaha. With your taste, Blake, ye goy. How could you possibly fancy a workaholic like Stella? Leo is such a person. He always creates an image of respecting women on weekdays. But when it comes to crucial moments, he looks down on women the most. Originally, these words just made me a bit unhappy. But Leo seemed eager to save face and started speaking without thinking. Stella has been dealing with men all the time. It doesn't sound good to spread the word. The Blake family has a clean family style. Presumably, Blake also looks down on such a woman. My eyes had already started looking for a wine bottle that would match Leo's pig-like head. Suddenly, Blake stood up, handed me his phone, and then slowly unbuttoned his watch strap. Be good. Wait aside for a moment. I took the phone and obediently walked to the corner. The next second, a dull sound of glass breaking came. I turned my head and saw Leo with blood all over his head, and Blake was holding half a wine bottle in his hand. Putting down the bottle, Blake picked up a napkin beside him, casually wrapped it around his knuckles a few times, and then grabbed Leo on the ground and punched him. Blake rarely gets this angry. The rest of the people wanted to stop him, but didn't dare. Leo lay on the ground like a dead dog. His dear childhood sweetheart just kept screaming and didn't even dare to help him up. After venting enough, Blake stood up and glanced at everyone. I'm the one who beat him. If anything happens, just come to me. Then he pulled me and left. The last words the people in the private room heard were Blake gently coaxing me, leaning on my shoulder. I won't call you sister-in-law anymore. How about calling you baby? Just like last night. As soon as we went out, Blake quickly let go of my hand and distanced himself from me. When did you call me baby last night? Blake pursed his lips and didn't speak, but the tips of his ears turned red quietly. Are you shy? Did you dream about me last night? What kind of dream was it? I smiled and leaned towards Blake, but he pushed me away. I followed him all the way to the parking lot and naturally got into the passenger seat of Blake's car. Take you home? I nodded and then shook my head. With what happened today, my grandpa will definitely scold me if I go home. I don't dare to go back. Blake didn't say anything, so I continued to play the pity card. I'm so pathetic. I don't dare to go home, and I don't dare to stay in a hotel either. Well, you can just drop me off at any bridge kid you pass by later. Don't worry about me. Although the temperature is below zero now, and I'm wearing thin clothes, and I haven't fully recovered from my cold, at least it's a place to shelter from the wind. Hearing that I hadn't fully recovered from my cold, Blake turned up the air conditioner temperature a bit more. I have an empty house. I'm timid. I don't dare to live alone. After a long stalemate, Blake finally sighed and started the car. Are we going to find a bridge kid now? Back to my place. Are you inviting me to live together? Isn't it a bit too soon? Blake took a deep breath and answered me word by word through gritted teeth. It's not living together. It's taking you in. I originally wanted to stop while I was ahead, but I don't know if it was because Blake's action of beating someone was so cool today, or his shy look just now was so cute. I couldn't help but start teasing him again. Just taking me in? Blake, let out a low sigh. You're so kind-hearted. I hope when we open the door at home, there won't be a bunch of sisters you've taken in. Just then, let out a low sigh. We hit a red light. Blake slowly decelerated and rubbed the bridge of his nose with one hand. Just you. Oh, so I'm the only one? Right. So am I? Blake's sudden question caught me off guard. What? Stella. I'm not going to be a mistress. So before you handle your engagement, I won't give you any answer. Speaking of this stupid engagement makes me angry. My family has an engagement with the Leo family, but that was just a joke between our grandfathers and doesn't count. The person I was supposed to be engaged to was not the useless Leo, but his brother Ryan. As for the so-called engagement between me and Leo, it was all a rumor spread by his mother. It all started at a banquet held by the Leo family. I just talked to Leo a few more times, and Leo's mother told the rich ladies that Leo and I were childhood sweethearts and had been in love for a long time. What's disgusting is that she said something about how girls are thin-skinned and forbade these people to come and ask me. So by the time I knew about this news, the rumors outside had already spread like wildfire. It was my aunt who came to ask me, saying why I was so tight-lipped and even embarrassed to tell my own family. Suddenly having a fiancé out of nowhere. No one would be too happy about it. I originally wanted to clarify it immediately. But the old man of the Leo family came to me in person and asked me to clarify it after a while. The Leo family was having some problems in the business field. Spreading the news of an in-law relationship with my family at this time could give a lot of confidence to the investors. Out of consideration for the long-standing friendship between the two sides, I agreed, but this seemed to give Leo's mother hope. She thought I was really determined to marry her son and actually started acting like a mother-in-law. While silently cursing Leo and Leo's mother in my heart, we had already arrived at Blake's place. I followed him closely, making some noise from time to time to make my presence felt. The guest room is on the left. There are toiletries and slippers in the bathroom. I'll have someone send you some change of clothes now. I nodded, put down my bag, and started looking around Blake's house. After I finished washing, I found that the hairdryer in the bathroom was broken. I came out in a bathrobe and called Blake. Blake, but the hairdryer is broken. He seemed to be on the phone. Hearing this, he walked into the storage room and brought me a spare one. By the time I finished drying my hair, the phone call had ended. I thought it was about his work, so I didn't ask much. But unexpectedly, he took the initiative to speak. Do you know who I was just talking to on the phone? Who? I asked casually while applying face cream. Your fiancé. I don't know if it was just my imagination, but Blake deliberately emphasized the word fiancé, sounding a bit sarcastic. Did he come to apologize? Blake nodded. Leo is the second son. The heir chosen by the family is Ryan. This means that Leo is destined to be a wealthy idler for the rest of his life. So the Leo family can't afford to offend the Blake family for Leo's sake, especially not at this critical moment. This is also the main reason why Leo's mother is so eager to match us up. She was a mistress who became the legal wife and has a very bad relationship with Ryan. She actually wanted her biological son to compete with Ryan, seize the company and the family property. But Leo is just a good-for-nothing. So she set her sights on me. My parents passed away when I was young, and I grew up with my uncle and aunt. My uncle's family has no interest in business. They all went to contribute to the academic world, and this huge family business fell on me. She used to look down on me, always saying that I was born with the tough fate that killed my parents. But after learning that I'm the heir of the Stella family, her attitude towards me became warm instantly. He heard your voice just now. I nodded casually. He recognized it was you and declared his sovereignty, telling me to stay away from you. That's really bad. Me? Of course it's him. I'll only stay away from him. I lay prone on the back of the sofa, looking up at Blake with my head tilted. He was silent for a few seconds, and his Adam's apple bobbed. Stella, you need to hurry up. Hurry up with what? Hurry up so that I can declare my sovereignty with a clear conscience. After staying at Blake's place for 2 days, I finally returned to the company. Under my fierce offensive for 2 consecutive days, Blake's attitude finally softened a bit. At least he didn't put on his shirt when working out. The smile on my face lasted until I opened the door of my office and saw the unexpected guests sitting inside. On the sofa were none other than Leo, whose face was swollen like a pig's head, and Leo's mother. Probably because they didn't wait for me at home these 2 days. They came directly to the company to block me. What's going on? Leo's mother and President Leo arrived early in the morning, saying they had something to talk to you about. So I let them wait in your office. Have I ever said that no outsiders are allowed to enter my office without permission? President Stella. Leo's mother said that President Leo is your. Go to the HR department to handle your resignation immediately. I don't want to see you in the company. The assistant wanted to explain, but finally left with a wronged look on their face. I got so angry as soon as I came, and it was obvious to anyone with eyes who I was targeting. But Leo's mother was also someone who could sit still. Instead of showing any embarrassment, she still sat there with a smile, as if she didn't understand the hidden meaning of my words. Stella. Auntie has looked for you several times, but you weren't at home. So I brought Leo to the company without asking. You won't blame Auntie, will you? I took off my coat and just smiled when I heard this. Whether I blame you or not, Auntie, you're already sitting in my office. Saying I blame you now would make me seem ungrateful and disrespectful to the elders. These words were not polite. Leo's mother's face stiffened for a moment before she continued speaking. Auntie came to ask what exactly happened to Leo's injury? I asked him, but he refused to say. That girl Cindy said a few words, saying it was related to your personal relationship. I was too lazy to respond and lowered my head to look at the documents the assistant put on the desk. Not getting a response for a long time. Leo's mother's face turned ugly. And she started to act like an overbearing mother-in-law. Stella, your mother passed away early. Maybe there are no elders in the family to teach you. A girl should be more self-respecting and not mess around with men. Her words were forcefully interrupted by the glass cup at her feet. Ah! Leo's mother let out a scream, seemingly not expecting me to be so unruly. Auntie, my family education is indeed not good. So you'd better talk to me nicely. If I really have to take action, guess who will be the one to apologize in the end? Leo, the mama's boy who had been shrinking behind Leo's mother, couldn't sit still at this moment. He stood up suddenly and pointed at me. Stella, you just have a bit of money. What's so great about you? You're so tough that no man will want you in the end. Do you think Blake really likes you? He's just playing with you. The anger of a loser seems so insignificant. I took a moment to look up from the documents, glanced at him, and picked up my phone to send a message to security. There are many people with a bit of money, but whether they're great or not depends on the person. For example, someone like you. I scanned him up and down and continued. Someone who only asks the family for money with their hands outstretched is called a prodigal son, while I'm called an entrepreneur. As soon as I finished speaking, the security guards arrived. Go back if you have nothing to do. If you want to cooperate on business, ask your brother or father to talk to me. You too, mother and son. While your father is not too old, try to get as much out of him as you can. After seeing off the mother-son pair, I received a call from Ryan. I thought it would be the same old tune again, coming to clean up the mess for his worthless younger brother on the orders of the old man. But what Ryan said this time caught me off guard. My stepmother blocked you today and arranged for marketing accounts to do a live stream behind the scenes. Look at the news now. The posts about the good news of the Stella family and the Ryan family getting married should already be on the front page. You didn't stop it? It said the Stella family and the Ryan family. But the Leo family doesn't only have Leo. What do you mean? Stella, do you want to consider marrying me? Both ends of the phone were silent for a long time. Ryan might have thought I was considering it, but I just found it hard to understand. What did you say? He said he wants you to marry him. Because I was looking at the documents. I put my phone on speaker. I didn't expect Blake to suddenly appear in my office. And even less did I expect him to suddenly speak. Why are you here? Blake put the earring I left at his place on the table with a dark face. His voice cold. I shouldn't have come. Disturbing you to discussing your wedding date. I wish you a happy marriage in advance. Don't forget to send me an invitation when you hold the wedding. After saying that, he turned around and wanted to leave, but I stopped him with a shout. Blake, stop right there. Blake's steps towards the door paused. When he turned back, his eyes were already a bit red. Damn. He looks so attractive when he's on the verge of crying. In the few seconds I was stunned. Blake left without looking back. I raised my foot to chase after him. But the assistant came in at the right time to say that the meeting was about to start. By the time I finished the meeting and met with the client, it was almost evening. I called Blake, but he didn't answer. I went to his place to look for him, but I came back empty-handed. After such a tiring day, I was also a bit angry. So I drove straight home. As soon as the car drove into the community, I saw Ryan waving at me not far away. Have a chat? We entered a coffee shop not far from the community together. What would you like to drink? I shook my head. After getting to know Blake, I promised him not to drink coffee at night. Did I mess up your good thing? This guy is quite self-aware. I didn't beat around the bush with him. I nodded when I heard this, and said half-jokingly. Yeah. Now it's troublesome. The boyfriend I managed to catch with great difficulty has flown away. How about giving me that piece of land in the east of the city as compensation? That piece of land will be publicly bid for. It's still uncertain who will get it. What? Are you not confident? Old fox. I knew it was hard to get any benefits from him. Ryan took a sip of coffee and said seriously. What do you think about my proposal this morning? Marry you in an alliance? Ryan nodded. Stella. How long can a man's love last? A year? Or 10 years? Emotion is the most insignificant thing in the millions of years of human evolution. Rather than entrusting your future to illusory emotions because of the effect of hormones, it's better to form a more unbreakable relationship with me. You know me. Marrying me. I can guarantee absolute loyalty and rationality after marriage, which is of great benefit to both of our companies. But does marriage only need loyalty? What about love? Happiness? And the promises to each other? That's the life you want. I've known Ryan for so many years. And he's always been a very rational person. During my youth, I once had a hazy crush on him. Because of my liking, I constantly beautified his indifference as rationality and self-discipline. At that time, he didn't have many friends. And I was the only girl among them. At first, I was a bit self-righteous, thinking that he was different to me. But I woke up quickly. Few people can continuously and unconditionally pour out their enthusiasm. Maybe if I had persisted a little longer, I would have really touched him. But it was too tiring. If I had to take 99 steps, and he would only take the last step, then even if we were together, I would always remember the 98 extra steps I took. Perhaps it's because I didn't love him enough, so I would weigh the pros and cons. After I figured it out, I retreated to the position of a friend. So I was really surprised that he would say such a thing. Ryan, I still have expectations for marriage and love. Ryan seemed a bit puzzled, with a look of incomprehension on his face. You once liked me. His words were assertive. I was a bit surprised that he had noticed. But you gave up quickly. He leaned back on the chair, in a posture as if saying, see, heading self-wide sigh. No one can love someone forever. Even you can't. I felt a bit helpless, feeling that no matter what I said, he wouldn't listen. That's because I found out you weren't the right person. Have you found the right person now? Blake's face suddenly appeared in my mind. And I nodded with a smile. How do you know he's the right person? Christmas was approaching. The star-shaped lights on the Christmas tree outside the coffee shop were twinkling. I looked at it several times before I was sure that the dark figure behind the tree was Blake. I just know. I stood up and was about to go to the door to find him. But Ryan grabbed my right hand. What if I say I like you too? It's too late. You said it too late. And I realized it too late. When I walked to the Christmas tree, Blake was about to leave. Blake. As soon as I called out, Blake walked even faster. If you take one more step forward, I promise I won't say a word to you in the future. Blake lifted his foot and then put it down. I quickened my pace and walked forward a few steps, only to find that he was lowering his head and his eyes were a bit red. Did you come to find me for something? I just saw that it was so late and you still hadn't gone home. I came to ask if you're still going to stay at my place. If not, I'll ask the auntie to come and clean the guest room. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I'm going back to my own home tonight. Blake nodded. And his voice still had a nasal tone. Yes, you have a fiancé now. It's not very appropriate for you to stay at another man's place. Fiancé? You mean Ryan? He did ask me if I would marry him just now and even confessed to me. Did you agree to him? Do you want me to agree to him? The originally downcast Blake suddenly looked up when he heard this, staring at me intently. I sighed and reached out to hold his cold hand. If I agreed to him, what would happen to you? The next second, Blake's arm exerted force, pulling me into his arms. But you liked him before. His voice was a bit muffled. That was before. Now I only like you. But he likes you too. I've seen him smiling at your photo. He didn't tell me. When someone likes another person, even if they don't say it with their mouth, Their eyes will show it. If I've never noticed his affection for me, it just proves that he doesn't love me that much. But I've never said I love you either. Your eyes have said it thousands of times. The first time I saw Blake was at a banquet. He sat in the corner with a look of impatience, rejecting several groups of girls who asked for his contact information. Later, seeing that Leo was quite familiar with him, I asked Leo a few questions. I didn't expect that these few extra words would become the beginning of Leo's mother's rumors. For the two of the shares promised by Leo's grandfather, I endured it and cooperated with Leo to act in front of the public. Leo is frivolous and brainless. At first, he remained clean for a while. But it didn't take long for his true nature to show, and he started attracting others. Either he was racing with some rich second generation today, or having a party on a yacht with some young model tomorrow. Until my birthday, I suddenly received a friend request from Blake. Sister-in-law, hello. I'm Blake, Leo's brother. Ignoring that glaring address, I quickly approved the friend request. Sister-in-law, I heard it's your birthday today. Happy birthday. Thank you. Just call me Stella. Stella, how are you going to celebrate today? Leo must have prepared a very romantic surprise for you, right? I'm celebrating by working in the company. I've been busy all day today and will go back to have dinner with my family at night. What? Weren't you the one who walked out of the hotel hand in hand with Leo and went to have dinner today? 1.5 minutes later the system showed that the other party had withdrawn a message. Oops, Halashai. Did I say something wrong? There must be some misunderstanding. Sister-in-law. Don't be angry with Leo. Sigh. I just think Leo is being too much. He's already engaged but still doesn't abide by male virtues. If I still didn't understand what the other person's purpose was after seeing this, I would have lived in vain for so many years. It's just that I didn't expect that Blake, who looks serious on the surface, would actually try to steal his brother's girl. So I took the opportunity and started chatting with Blake on the pretext of being hurt in love. But no matter how obvious my hints were, he pretended not to understand. If it weren't for the fact that every time I got close to him to talk, I could hear his deafening heartbeat and rapid breathing, I would even suspect that I was being self-affectionate and misinterpreting his intentions or that he had some ulterior motives. Fortunately, the misunderstanding has been cleared up now. And I've successfully won the handsome guy's heart. The moment I got together with Blake, he posted an official announcement on Moments. Then he reported the good news to his military advisor team. Military advisor team? Could it be? Before I could finish speaking, Blake interrupted me. It's a happy day. Don't mention that unlucky person. I thought you had a good relationship with him. After all, when he first added me on WeChat, he kept calling me sister-in-law. If it weren't for wanting to get to know you, who would be brothers with him? After saying that, he bent down to kiss me. But I pushed him away. Aren't you going back to clean up? No need. I'll live in that room from now on. We'll live together. After standing outside for so long, Blake couldn't help sneezing. It was only then that I suddenly realized that I didn't feel cold because Blake had been standing in the wind to block it for me. I pulled his hand and walked into a coffee shop, wanting a hot drink to warm my hands. The coffee shop waiter saw that I brought a second handsome guy within half an hour. With respect in her eyes, she secretly gave me a thumbs up when she put down the drink. When our body temperatures warmed up, Blake was reluctant to leave, acting all coy. It's so dark. Driving is not safe. Shall I ask the driver to take you? It's so late to trouble the driver. I feel so embarrassed. I have 3 drivers. They work in shifts. You don't need to be embarrassed. I just remembered that I forgot to pay the electricity bill. There's no electricity at my place. It must be very inconvenient to go back now. If I remember correctly, doesn't your property management butler provide 24-hour service? I feel like I'm casting pearls before swine. I just don't want to go back. I want to stay at your place. Do you understand, Blake? I nodded. You should have said so earlier. At this time, he became reserved, acting hesitant. I'm not the kind of man who casually goes home with a girl. I abide by male virtues. Yes, heading fulfill and say. It's me sincerely inviting you to my home to see my four-legged cat. Wow. A four-legged cat is so rare. I've never seen one. I really need to broaden my horizons. As soon as we entered the door, before I could show him the cat, he pinned me between the door panel and his chest. The main light hadn't been turned on yet. Only a few anti-collision lights were on in the room, making it seem a bit dim. I put one hand around Blake's neck, and the index finger of my other hand unconsciously drew circles on his chest. "Still want to see the kitten?" Blake's eyes were deep. The sound of him swallowing saliva was particularly obvious in the quiet room. I lifted his chin, and the overwhelming love in his eyes finally found an outlet, crashing straight into mine. Before seeing the kitten, I took the initiative to kiss his lips. A quick peck and then pulled back. "I want to see my puppy first." On the sofa. I don't know if it was him or me who accidentally touched the switch of the smart home, and all the lights suddenly came on. I was startled, and the long overdue shame began to engulf me. I instinctively shrank, like a cooked shrimp. Blake let out a muffled groan. Sweat dripped down his jawline onto his chest, and then slowly downward until it disappeared. From the entrance to the living room, and then from the living room to the bedroom, my puppy showed me the layout of my home again from a different perspective. The next day, I was woken up by my assistant's phone call. Blake was still sleeping, with one hand under my neck and the other on my waist, holding me tightly. It took me several minutes to finally find my phone, which had fallen under the bed at some point. President Stella. President Leo has released a lot of false information smearing you on the internet. Most of it has been suppressed by the PR department. But regarding the cooperation between the Stella family and the Ryan family, the shareholders still want to hear your explanation. It took me several seconds to finally figure out what was happening. We had fooled around till late last night, and it was almost noon now. I casually put on a bathrobe and clicked on the document sent by my assistant. After being stimulated by me yesterday, Leo, have a show, in a fit of anger, went racing with Cindy again. As a result, paparazzi took pictures of them fooling around in the car. He didn't dare to tell his family and wanted to buy out the photos, but his pocket money had already been squandered. The two of them came up with an idea to exchange my gossip with the paparazzi. This paparazzi also didn't know what was good for him, thinking that the story of the heir of the Stella family was more marketable than Leo. "That useless guy." He directly agreed. Early this morning, the paparazzi posted on the social platform that I was to timing. At first, it was a friend of mine, and then he started drawing comics. After pulling the netizens' curiosity to the maximum, he exposed the screenshot of Blake's official announcement last night. Leo even liked the post and also posted a vague and sentimental quote on his own homepage. As soon as Leo showed up, many netizens jumped on it, swarming in the comment section saying that I was shameless and unashamed. Besides, there were two other voices on the internet. One group said that I wasn't officially engaged to Leo, and even if I was, it was forced by my family, and I was innocent for pursuing true love. The other group was amazed by the looks of me and Blake, and they were writing blood-written letters, asking me to share a tutorial. Those who wanted to slut-shame me were quickly suppressed by the rational netizens as soon as they showed up. That useless guy still has the nerve to talk about others? Has he explained clearly the matter of him finding escorts in Phuket? I'm in the medical aesthetics industry. A rich lady in our agency told us that the Stella family and the Ryan family are not formally engaged at all. It's the Leo family's company that has problems and spreads false news to curry favor with the Stella family. The Stella family has suffered in silence because of the friendship and hasn't clarified. My God. Isn't this just spreading false rumors? I said Stella is beautiful, highly educated, and capable. How could she possibly take a fancy to that useless guy? If she were to be engaged, it should be with Ryan. Is there anyone digging into President Stella's boyfriend? He looks so handsome. Damn it. Both of them are masterpieces of nouveau. After roughly browsing the online public opinion, the negative news about me and the company had almost disappeared. The PR department took the opportunity to hold a lottery on the company's official account to build momentum for our hotel that was about to open, attracting a lot of attention. The crisis was resolved invisibly, but the account still needed to be settled. As soon as I dialed Ryan's phone, the other side answered. Knowing my intention, the other party didn't say much nonsense. The old man wants to see you. I said okay. Casually tittied up. And then went to the Leo family with Blake. As soon as we entered the door, we saw Leo kneeling on the ground in the living room. Leo's grandfather sat aside with a dark face. Leo's mother wanted to plead but didn't dare. TSK. Kneeling on the carpet is hardly a punishment. It's mostly for show. Don't be soft-hearted. I had to show respect to the older generation. But Blake didn't. His voice was just loud enough for everyone in the living room to hear. When everyone's eyes turned towards us, Blake covered his mouth as if innocent. Oops. Was my voice too loud? I'm sorry. I'm just used to it. You guys just bear with it. Leo's mother's face was extremely ugly. But due to Blake's status, she didn't dare to get angry. Her hands were almost tearing the hem of her clothes. Grandpa Leo. As a junior, I greeted the old man first. Stella. Does your grandfather know about this? My grandfather and uncle both know. They said I can handle this matter myself. The old man wanted to play the friendship card. So I blocked his mouth first. Leo is young and doesn't understand things. The old man was stunned, gasping for breath, and didn't speak further. Grandpa Leo. I'm 1.5 years younger than Leo. Leo's mother stood up to speak, but was pulled back by Leo's father and sat down resentfully. Grandpa Leo. You promised before that this engagement didn't count. It was just to give the Leo family a convenience in the business world. Now that I have a stable boyfriend and the Leo family's crisis has passed smoothly, I think it's better to clear up this misunderstanding as soon as possible. There was no sound in the living room for a long time. It was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. The old man suddenly picked up his cane and hit Leo hard on the back. The cane made a dull sound when it landed on the body. Leo's father and mother felt sorry for their son and wanted to stop it but didn't dare. But at this time, Blake spoke up. Old man, you're getting on in years. Leo's mother thought this was Blake's excuse to stop the fight and even felt relieved. Little did she know that what he said next was infuriating. He surely doesn't have the strength either. I'm young and strong. Give me the walking stick. And I'll hit him for you. We don't want you to strain your back, old lady. The living room fell into an eerie silence again. Is Stella going to part ways with my Leo family in order to curry favor with the Blake family? Grandpa Leo. It's because our values don't match that I'm cutting ties with Leo. Just like Guan Ning did. After a long time, the old man looked at Ryan, who had been silent all along, and said in a trembling voice. Regarding the clarification, you'll be in touch with the Stella family. As for your younger brother, send him abroad. This short sentence indicated that Leo had completely become an abandoned son. When we were leaving, Ryan saw us out. Seeing that he seemed to have something to say, I asked Blake to get in the car and wait first. Blake was a bit dissatisfied but obediently got into the car. Congratulations. Thank you. If I had been earlier, could I have? He didn't finish the rest of the sentence. But we both knew there was no if. Even if there was, I don't think we would have lasted long. Probably not. Why? You'll know when you meet the right person. Ryan. When you truly like someone, you won't weigh the pros and cons or calculate whether it's fair to give a little more than the other person. You're a good person. I know, haha. But we're not suitable. Even if we were together, one day I might not be able to stand your personality, and we'd become a resentful couple. So it's better for us to just remain friends. Ryan stood there, stunned, and remained silent for a long time. Blake had honked the horns several times. I lifted my feet and ran towards him. Before leaving, I didn't forget to congratulate Ryan. Congratulations to you. You finally achieved your childhood dream of firmly holding the company in your hands. After today, Leo posed no threat to him at all. Even if Grandpa Leo was muddle-headed, the shareholders wouldn't hand the company over to a naive and inexperienced playboy like Leo. After saying congratulations, I ran in Blake's direction. Coincidentally, I didn't hear Ryan's last words, but the childhood dream wasn't fully realized. Because of being overcautious, I lost the most precious treasure. Blake drove the car to a manner I had never seen before. As soon as the car stopped, he pressed me against the seat and kissed me. One of his hands held the back of my head, and the other tightly encircled my waist. The temperature in the narrow space rose sharply. I put my hands against his chest to catch my breath. But it only led to a more intense attack. Probably because it was a bit inconvenient for me to sit in the passenger seat. Blake grabbed my waist with both hands and with a heave. I was sitting on his lap. My mind went blank due to lack of oxygen. And I could only passively endure his kiss. I don't know how long it took before he finally let me go. You talked to him for 4 minutes and 39 seconds. We just talked about some company matters. I don't care. I'm still jealous. I looked out of the car window. There was a large rose field. And not far away stood a 3-story villa. Where is this? This is the manor I bought for you. For me? Blake nodded. The first time I saw you, I wanted to lock you up here. I nestled in his arms and took a bite below his collarbone. Ah. Blake let out a low gasp, well no gasp, and the atmosphere started to turn ambiguous. His hand passed through my neck, lifted my head, and he gently bit my lips. Save some energy, baby. I'd rather you bite me in other places. The temperature under my buttocks was scorching. If we continued to flirt like this, I might be dealt with, right then and there. I randomly kissed his chin a few times, and quickly distanced myself from Blake. I want to see my manor. I opened the car door. And what greeted me was the rich fragrance of roses. Blake and I ran in the rose field, rolled on the grass, then hugged on test. Do you like the gift I gave you? I like it very much. But I like you even more. I held Blake's face and kissed him fiercely. If you like me even more, just kissing isn't enough. After a passionate night, I nestled in Blake's arms. Sound asleep. Blake had already woken up and was casually kissing my face. Are you a puppy? You're drooling all over my face. Yeah. I'm baby's puppy. As soon as Blake finished speaking, his phone rang. Blake answered the phone. And the free hand played with my hair. I lay on his chest, trying to catch up on sleep. Who knew this guy would still grope around while answering the phone? His hand slowly moved down from my collarbone and then gently pressed on the place where I left a tooth mark last night. I couldn't help but let out a soft moan. I slapped his hand away, turned over, and continued to sleep. Blake quickly hung up the phone and pulled me back into his arms. I want to sleep, I complained with a frown. Sleep together. Seeing my irritable expression, he added tactfully. Purely. Just sleeping. Not even 2 minutes of peace passed when the man beside me spoke again with a slightly guilty voice. Actually, I just answered your phone. Yeah. Do you know who called you just now? Who? Your high school crush. It took me 2 seconds to think in my mind before I realized he was talking about Ryan. That was so long ago. No matter how long ago it was, it can't cover up the fact that you liked him. Blake looked matter of fact, but his trembling eyelashes still revealed his inner unease. Fine. Then what do you want to do? Anything is okay? Blake's eyes lit up, and a certain part of him also started to stir. No way. I'm going to sleep. Baby. I'm so uncomfortable. Baby. I bought a special outfit. Do you want to see me wear it? It has ears. Baby. Baby. Are you really not going to look? I even learned a seductive dance. Baby. Open your eyes and look at me. I don't believe you're indifferent. Ryan's side story. Ryan has known since he was a child that he wasn't normal. Every time his mother hysterically quarreled with his father, he was very confused. Since they were so unhappy, why couldn't they just separate? Later, when his parents really divorced and his mother left for a foreign country, Ryan only felt a sense of relief. He remembered the first day his father brought Leo and his mother home. He was sitting on the swing in the garden, lost in thought. That's when Stella ran over. Ryan. If you two ever fight in the future, I'll definitely be on your side. What he was thinking at that time is a bit hazy now. Oh, it seemed he was thinking, is this what it feels like to lose both father and mother at the same time? How sad Stella must have been at that time. However, this slightly inappropriate trace of heartache was quickly caught by his brain and firmly suppressed in the most hidden corner of his heart. After that, he started to study hard, participate in competitions, and be a grandson that made his grandfather proud.